what are we to do with the Jewish people who rejected Christ? Have you ever sat down with a faithful Jew and went, how can you not see it? And what's the
It's been
response?
a few years, but of course I have. Invariably, they wouldn't be willing to talk to me unless they had at least one door unlocked and open for me to pass through it. And so over the years, I've known a number of Jews who became Catholics.
Yeah.
But I mean, in some ways, the most remarkable conversion of all is what occurred at Easter time in 1945, because Rabbi Emil Zoli was the chief rabbi of the Synagogue of Rome, which arguably was sort of like the Vatican of world Judaism. And for the last few years, he and Pope Pius XII had been conspiring to get Jews to safety by hiding them in the Vatican.
People don't often know that. I mean, there was that.
Allowing hundreds and possibly thousands of Jews to dress up like monks or clerics to get them to safety. But in the process, collaborating to save them, they ended up befriending each other. And so they had late hours and they apparently discussed matters. And Isaiah 53 for Rabbi Zoli turned out to be like the game changer. And so he was baptized at the Easter liturgy in 1945. I mean, that would almost be comparable to, the Cardinal Archbishop or the Bishop of Rome, getting circumcised and entering the synagogue or something. Because, I mean, the world press, the secular media, practically denounced him immediately as deranged or out of his mind or whatever, but he became the first lay professor where? At the Pontifical Biblical Institute. So an old friend of mine, God rest her soul, Sophia Cavalletti, who was the foundress of the Catechesis of the Good Shepherd. She was tutored by Rabbi Zoli, who told her that he took as his baptismal name Eugenio instead of Emil. Why? Because Pius XII's name was Eugenio Pacelli, and it was through their friendship and his own study of Scripture, and in particular, you said, what other Scripture? Certainly Isaiah 53, which was like the most cryptic oracle of all of the prophets, but this is Isaiah, the greatest of the prophets. He was despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows, acquainted with grief. Surely he has borne our griefs and carried our sorrows, yet we esteemed him stricken, smitten by God, and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgressions, bruised for our iniquities, so that upon him was the chastisement that made us whole, for by his stripes we are healed. For all we like sheep have gone astray, and the Lord has laid upon him the iniquity of us all. He was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth, like a lamb that is led to the slaughter, like a sheep that before its shearers is dumb, so he opened not his mouth. The suffering servant is a new Moses, but is a new lamb, bringing about a new Passover, a new covenant. And when you look to see how he offered a sin offering, the many were made righteous. This is like the law and the prophets being fulfilled on steroids. And so I had a chance to meet with Sophia Cavalletti before she was called home in her apartment right off of Piazza Navona. And she described, among other things, we were promised 20 minutes. We ended up with almost 3 hours. And she described what it was like to learn to reread the Old Testament at the feet of this former rabbi of the Synagogue of Rome, Zoli, who wrote a book called The Nazarene. It was written before he had converted, but you can already get a sense that there is a trajectory to this.
Especially given the Second World War, I'm sure he was looked at as a traitor by his Jewish
exactly, and this is why
sisters.
Even the Catholic press was like,
we're kind of
mute this.
Yeah. Well, I hope Ben Shapiro is watching. Because this is. I'm sure it was just like I've heard you say that as a Protestant becoming a Catholic, you felt like you became more of a Christian.
Yeah, more evangelical.
So I'm sure those Jews that convert say a similar thing.
Right. I took a line from one of them, because he was an evangelical after being a Jew. Then he became a Catholic. And, we talked about how often we sang Amazing Grace, and yet how amazing it is how Catholics are unamazed by more amazing grace. We have more to sing about. And it's amazing how unamazed we are because how unformed, how uninstructed we are. And then once you make up for what is lacking in catechesis, once you make up for what is lacking in the old and the new, once you connect the document to the sacrament, open up the doors, the barn, it's like we're off to the races. These horses are going to win whatever.
I want to tell you about a course that I have created for men to overcome pornography. It is called strive21.com/Matt. You go there right now, or if you text STRIVE to 66866, we'll send you the link. It's 100% free. And it's a course I've created to help men, to give them the tools to overcome pornography. Usually men know that porn is wrong. They don't need me or you to convince them that it's wrong. What they need is a battle plan to get out. And so I've distilled all that I've learned over the last 15 or so years as I've been talking and writing on this topic into this one course. Think of it as if you and I could have a coffee over the next 21 days and I would kind of guide you along this journey. That's basically what this is. It's incredibly well produced. We had a whole camera crew come and film this. And I think it'll be a real help to you. And it's also not an isolated course that you go through on your own, because literally tens of thousands of men have now gone through this course. And as you go through the different videos, there's comments from men all around the world encouraging each other, offering to be each other's accountability partners and things like that. Strive21, that's strive21.com/Matt, or as I say, text Strive to 66866 to get started today. You won't regret it.